This gospel is almost as though we are listening in, eavesdropping on Jesus talking to the Father. It's like he's praying and we can hear what he's saying. I am praying for them as he's preparing to take his leave. And he is concerned about them as he leaves and how they will continue to grow and to take what he has shared with them for the rest of their lives as they move on. This is a perfect gospel for me to say goodbye to you today with. It's the very same expression of my own feelings about you. And this is hard, but it is, let's be candid, this is our life. Our comings and goings, all of us, in your families and as your children are growing up and saying goodbye and moving on, comings and goings are part of the fabric of life. And we don't do this well, but we do it. And God gives us the grace to do, hopefully, the right things for the right reasons. Of course, my brain it's a flood of memories. But let me give you a little history here, and if I'm repeating myself, this is the last time. Father Bill Msgr. Does anybody remember that character? When he was at St. Margaret Mary's in the 80s, and he left St. Margaret Mary's and was transferred to Irwin and was my assistant. It's been downhill from there. Well, he came from here and came to Immaculate Conception. And I had him and Father Steve Bouguet. Father Steve was a severe introvert, never opened his mouth, just like Father Msgr, who never shut his mouth. So we would sit, one would talk, the other one would be quiet. It was nonstop. As we were going through the stuff in the parish, after a while he said to me, "You need to be in Lower Burrell." I said, "Really? Why?" He said, "What we're doing here, I know the people of Lower Burrell would want to do that." So I filed that away. 10 years later, when I was with Bishop Bosco, I was in my second stint in the Department of Education and Spiritual Formation at the time. We had reorganized again, and I was in my 5th year. And I started to get bored, and that's a danger for me. And I said to myself, we need priests out in parishes. What am I doing sitting at this desk? I need to get out there. So I said, I need to talk to the bishop about this, and the Vicar General at the time said, "Oh, don't spring this on him. He's not good with surprises." I said, "Well, we don't want to alienate the bishop." So he said, "Write him a letter and then make an appointment and go in and see him." So I wrote a letter. Actually, I'll never forget it. I was going down to Berryville, Virginia in January to do a weekend of retreat, and I was going to write my letter there. And it snowed, and I got stuck 10 feet beyond the Somerset exit. Now, the longest stretch on the turnpike is from Somerset to Bedford. I crawled to Bedford in this snowstorm. And I said, I can't turn around and get off there. I just missed it. So I had to go the whole way to Bedford. And I said, I'm not going to make it to Virginia, so I stayed overnight in a hotel in Bedford and wrote my letter to Bishop Bosco. And saying, I think I'm requesting a change, and I think I have done what I can do here. Send me out. So a week later, I gave him time. I went into his office, and I said, he said, "I read your letter." Now, this is the priest and the bishop. Usually you go in and you're listening, and they're telling you. Well, not totally. He was good. So he said, "I read your letter, and I read it a couple times. And then I said to myself, if I were to send myself out to a parish, where would I send myself?" I'm saying I have to listen to him talk about himself now? All right, so then he started listing parishes in the 4 counties of the diocese. Then he came to St. Margaret Mary's, Lower Burrell. I said, "Why don't you stop there?" I said, "Why don't you think about that one? What do I have to lose?" Well, then I went on a sabbatical for 6 months, went out to St. Louis, 3 months actually. And then in January, got a call when we were on vacation in Mexico, and the bishop said, I'm sending you to St. Margaret Mary's in Lower Burrell. I said, wonderful. And you'll be the dean over there. All right. And the rest is history in these last 16 and a half years. I had this intuition, because you don't know, I had this intuition that this would be the kind of place where I would fit. Meaning, if what Father McGurk had said to me was true, then kind of the things that I believe were important and how we could work together, this might be a good place. I've had other assignments where there was not a good fit. This was, and I hoped and prayed, let's see what we can do at St. Margaret Mary's. I believe it's a sleeper in the diocese, among the top 7 to 10 parishes in the 4 counties. Well, so I came, and now I go. I cannot tell you the quality of job satisfaction I have as I walk out that door. This has been the best. I am truly grateful. Not that we did a lot of things, but fundamentally, and somebody, the most wonderful feedback I'm getting, and everybody's telling me nice things. I said we should be transferred more often. You hear a lot of nice things when you go, and the people who are mad don't come around. And certainly people are offended. We don't do it. We don't do it all right and for everybody. You do the best you can and put it in God's hands. But I believe, and people have said to this, the legacy that I, as a pastor, might leave here is not the brick and mortar of this new construction, but what it represents in the community of the members of this parish and the community that we have built for mission, for being a presence to each other and in the wider community. We are here to stay. And that sign out there is the last, they don't get it now, as I've said, I don't know how they're going to get it. St. Margaret Mary is here. And what we tried to do over these years was not simply to manage. I didn't come here to be a caretaker with you, just to hold your hand, and let's just slip, let's take it one day at a time. Somebody has to begin to say, okay, where are we going long term also? And I think we've set a path for the long term of St. Margaret Mary's. And I leave here with extreme satisfaction, delight, and truly on a high. And I'm not just saying that. And I'm telling you this because I think what we did here, we only have so many things in our bag of tricks. What's waiting for me at Mother of Sorrows? I don't know. And I'm glad I don't. Because you got to go and you got to take it as it's given to you. Now, my bag of tricks is rather limited. So I'm going to do a lot of the things that we did here. Now, in a different setting. How do I become the pastor of a new congregation? I got to figure that out with them as we tried to figure this out in our time here. Pray for me to that end. There are needs there as there are needs everywhere. And we are sent. And remember, I want to say this one more time. We are diocesan priests, not parish priests. That means that the bishop can send us where he believes that the greatest need is at that place at that time. That is why this is occurring. For those who still believe I'm being punished, forget it. I wasn't punished when I came here. Now, if you want to believe that you're better than everybody else, then I'm being punished. No, it's not that at all. This is the way it is. And please accept that that is the truth. And I've been sitting on this for a little while because I'm on the personnel board. So you have some, that's actually harder than if you don't know. But this has been just superb. I want to switch the slides for a few minutes. We had the graduates' mass last night, and I used this in my homily. There's 4 slides that I'd like, and I want the oldest person in church to tell me what this is. Next. Next. And finally. You can leave that one up. I used that last night in my homily with the graduates. Talking about, well, first of all, do you know what it is? What's the story? The little engine that could. Well, we talked about that for what that meant in their lives. We don't believe in ourselves. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Let's transfer that meaning today. Let's make the train you and this parish. We think we can. We tried. And with God's grace, we did. The little engine that could. The challenge of leadership, and I have been privileged to share that with you, is to convince people, to hold up a mirror to the people of their own goodness. It has been my privilege as your pastor to do that with you, and in the process, shape the mission of this parish as we move forward. It has been wonderful. Do not ever doubt that you're second class to anybody, anywhere at St. Margaret Mary's Parish. We are among the best. The goodness that is here is not going to disappear. And as Father Kent walks in the door, it's his challenge to figure out where to go with it next. And you got to dialogue that out. If, in fact, he's not arrested by the Lower Burrell police for that truck that he's going to drive into town. But he's gone through the same process at St. Barbara's, and he comes here with great excitement and with great enthusiasm, and is really overwhelmed to come. Welcome him as you have welcomed me. And in all of this opening, and by the way, I said in my first message over to Mother of Sorrows, I drafted something. And I said, you've been through 5 pastors while I've been in Lower Burrell. And the most recent one, because Father Lechnar's leaving because of serious health problems, so he had to take a lesser assignment, and so I take his place. So, but the point is, it's another change of pastors for them. They don't know me. But I have to ask, I said, I don't know how to graciously ask you to let me in, because the door opens from the inside. I can't break it down. They have to let me in. And I'm asking them to do that for me so that we can commence. And I can see why they might be reluctant to do that, because we have to form a relationship. Pray for me. Let us pray for each other. Thank you. And may God continue to lead and guide us to the building of his kingdom, where there will be no more of these goodbyes and see you laters, but we will be somehow together in that kingdom with all who have gone ahead of us and all who will come after us in the final joy of the kingdom of heaven. We're all on the journey together there. We will meet again there for sure, and hopefully in God's providence along the way before that. God bless you always.